Hi everyone, I'm Anisha. Welcome to my channel on astrology and tarot. For those of you who are seeking deeper clarity, be it in your love life or your career, for a personal consultation, you may write to me at tarotbyanisha@gmail.com. Aquarians, welcome to your annual 2022-23 astrology forecast. We have another intense year ahead. For those of you who follow astrology, you must have been reading about the Pluto return that is happening this year. And the main theme for Pluto return is global and political power restructuring that is happening. And importantly so, because similar way that we have individual charts, nations also have astrological charts. And this Pluto return is happening in the United States specifically. To sum it up simply, it means when Pluto returns to the place in the cosmos that it occupied at the nation's inception at about 27 degrees to Capricorn. And in the chart of the United States, which is cast for the signing of Declaration of Independence in 1776, the planet Pluto sits in what we call as the house of income, of ownership, of our possessions, our money, our innate gifts, our self-worth. Now, the thing with Pluto is that it's a very slow moving planet. It takes about approximately 248 years to complete one revolution around the zodiac. And some people even say that it takes about decades to complete. But I think the first rumblings of Pluto return started in 2008, and that's the time when Pluto entered Capricorn. And which is the second house, and that is where Capricorn is right now. So hence the theme of worthiness is much more important this year. And Capricorn is the sign of the sea goat, that mythological creature that can climb any mountain, it can cross any sea in its quest to succeed. Often when we have planets in the second house, in the sign of Capricorn, especially when one of those planets happens to be Pluto, we're dealing with a shadow self who believes that it must work in order to prove its worth, and believing that it is not enough already, it finds itself in circumstances after circumstance that demands that it pay a price for something that it actually already owns, until something happens to break its cycle and raises our consciousness. Now let's talk about Pluto, and we need to understand as to why is it that there's so much of trepidation. And I think I personally feel that it's important to pay heed to this dwarf planet and the return as to why is it a wonderful opportunity, and why is it that we need to be more cautious and we need to be paying more attention to it. Now, most of the mythological stories that are connected or associated with planet Pluto are linked to Greek god Hades. He was the lord of underworld, and he ruled the realm of underworld with a very tight and an unyielding control. So it was a realm where people were passing from this world into the next. And his Hades myth is associated everything that has to do with power, with resurrection, with destruction, with transformation, with the shadow, the riches of the unseen, life and death, and the rebirth process as well. The most poignant Plutonian myth that I can think of is that of Persephone. And Hades abducted Persephone to be his wife so that she can rule the underworld with him. But most accounts describe her abduction and her initiation into the underworld as quite an intense process, whereby she was made to strip off the life that she had known in order to undergo a rebirth that enabled her to rise and become one of the most powerful deities in Greek mythology. In astrology, similarly, the symbolism of Pluto in the birth chart is associated with similar process of transformation. And Pluto transits often accompany periods in our life that seem to take us down in order for us to rise back again, and that seem to demand that we surrender every ounce of our power so that we might remember what it is to own and wield our power responsibly. Very deep and very intense stuff, but very pertinent, because the the Plutonian effect is of the transit is not going away soon. So it's important to see as to the areas of our life as to Where is it that we need to be focusing? What is it that we need to be looking at carefully? Where is it that the transformation is required? So while I will specifically speak about the house where it's going to be transiting for you, it would be worth your while to see whether there are other hard aspected planets like a Saturn or a Uranus that are going to be transiting in your house, that specific house as well. Now, for you, Aquarians, it's happening in the house of behind the scenes, and this is the house of endings, and it rules what's hidden from us, desires. It dredges up ancient history, past drama. It makes baggage feel even heavier, and it makes you feel like the universe is out to get you, or it can also make you your own worst enemy. Now, what you can do to really survive this transit is that face the past, face the baggage, the subconscious issues. In fact, it's a fantastic time to be seeking therapy. And really, I mean, you don't need to be having really deep-seated and horrible experience in order to be seeking a therapy. At times when we're just dealing with our past, or maybe things that we are unable to get past, it's always good to have a professional who can sort of hold a hand and walk us through that space. It's This transit is a great time to be facing things, releasing them. It's a period of deep clearing and cleansing spiritually for you, emotionally as well as physically. So, if you refuse to do, should you say that, I don't think so, I need to be doing it? Not that anything drastic will happen, but if you have been in toxic situations, they will carry on being so in the similar way. And also it can be that for some of you, similar situations can keep recurring in your life. You will just find the strangest of yourself in the strangest of toxic situations. An excellent time to be deep diving into your spiritual self and forming a stronger connection with your intuitive side and subtle energies all around you, Aquarians. And you can develop a strong connection to the mystical, metaphysical, but make sure, of course, that you don't dive too deep and get quite obsessed with it. So I have Venus, and she's retrograde in the same house of behind the scenes as well. And it may be that for some of you, you could just feel that it's somewhat difficult to put a finger on exactly what or whom it is that, you know, or what is it that you want to lay your hands on. And the urgency of desire, it may not yield enough specifics for you, leaving you really wondering as to what is going on. And final decisions are best during this transit not to, so don't do anything drastic, during this time, especially the ones that make you feel that they may be good things that you're assembling in the wings that you don't know about, which, or maybe you don't want to cut yourself away from now. So if you are in a difficult relationship, don't take a rush thing of saying that, oh, I need to be breaking up, it's a divorce and I need to be ending it. Maybe you need to be going in for some therapy, maybe you need to be going for some counseling, maybe you need to be giving it some time. But also, interestingly, time is not of the essence, even if it seems like it over here. And some retrospection on who and what has served you well in the past will serve you well now. So feel yourself out before you sort of tie yourself up in knots, Aquarian. So good time to be reflecting on past demons. Good time to be dealing with them again, facing, even if you feel that there's something that's been dealt with and it comes up again and you are just been avoiding it. It's a good time to be looking at it face up. April 30th, we have a solar eclipse that is there in your house of home, and it is joining Uranus, which is already there. It has been there since the last couple of years. So eclipses this year in 2022 are going to be affecting your house of home and your career. And because this eclipse is all about renovations, making changes at home. So it can be as simple as cleaning up your home, even decluttering. Doesn't have to be one exorbitant redoing of the house. And it's a time where you may want to spend some time with your family, bonding, renewing relationships if you haven't been, that is spending time with the family, and also opening up about your true feelings. and emotions may be deeper during this time, and intimacy may be more desirable, along with a stronger group of supporters to help protect you when you're feeling quite vulnerable. But practice being a better supporter yourselves, Aquarians. Don't sort of, keep the focus on yourself and how much you're suffering and how much you need help. Your intuition can be more developed as well now. So listen to those initial feelings you have about things. And the first reaction may very well be the best one right now for you. So don't overthink it. A good period to be selling your house, buying a house, refinancing, and you may want to keep yourself with a flurry of multiple activity as well during this phase, and making and working towards long-term goals is a positive use of this energy. May 11th, we have Jupiter that moves into your house of communication, and it stays there till about October 9th. And then May 16th, we have a lunar eclipse that is there in your house of career and reputation. So it can be that for some of you, around the 16th of May, you may want to do something that, gives you more attention than normal, and has people wanting you and no one else for the job, and it's difficult to sort of hide yourself now, and probably you don't want to. You could be looking at accolades, you could be looking at better recognition, and promoting yourself may be good for your career during this time. So if you deem it to be, this is the time to put yourself out there and let others know of your accomplishments. And you could decide to go in a completely new direction, and sometimes quite suddenly, or it could be suddenly out of the blue that you're offered something, and you may just decide to rethink the path that you're on, and reevaluating your commitments to your long-term goals, whether or not your goals give you the success that you want, can come up with this specific placement. And authority figures could be a source of frustration during this time. It can be somebody whom you're reporting into, or even it could be a parent as well, that you could just find that it's getting quite frustrating beyond a point. But make sure that you're watching yourself in public, and how you're behaving, so that you don't offend someone or make yourself look like a fool by accident. And things that have been hanging on far past the due date, they could sort of have the cord cut during this time. Now, between September and November 2022, we have our lovely Saturn and Uranus square that has been carrying on since about 2021, and it is aspecting for you again in your house of self and your house of home, and you could feel quite polarized between both the things. Now, you need to keep in mind that both the planets are absolutely opposite, so there could be this need to be feeling secure at home and wanting to be there and not leave it, and yet there is this sense of self that wants to get out and explore and want to live for it, or maybe wants to stand. And because the theme the entire year is around transformation, so staying in the similar status quo is not an option. I mean, the wheel of change has already started, after Pluto is parallel, then it's conjunct Saturn from 2015 to 2020. Now it's pretty much the time, if you haven't already, to reach down to the wells of our human nature and dredge up all the stuff that needs to transform, to change, which is it's not just necessary, but it is inevitable. So for you, because it's in the house of self, and it is your home, your foundation, so maybe something about your childhood, something about your foundations is something that you need to be transforming, you need to be re-looking at it. And also maybe the freedom that you seek for your own sense of self or your own self-worthiness is something that you need to be working upon, Aquarians. Sacrificing is not always fun. Sometimes it's necessary, but if that becomes a burden, and if that erodes our own sense of self or our own personal boundaries, then that's a very painful weight to carry. So be very clear about there could be these questions of what is it that I've sacrificed to, maybe you do not recognize yourself at all at this stage on what all that you've had to give up. And maybe there is a lot of past trauma that is connected to your childhood, maybe things that need to get worked out that sort of stop you from becoming the person that you can. So like I said previously, it's a great time to be seeking therapy as well. October 25th, we have a solar eclipse in your house of career, and we have a lunar eclipse that is there in your house of home. So does seem like a new career move, does seem like a change, and it does seem like an opportunity to have something finish or come to an end as far as the home situation is concerned. Mars goes retrograde for 2 months in Gemini on October 31st, and that is there in your house of creativity. So you could feel slightly blocked, you could feel creatively frustrated, or it can also be that you can look at it as that, universe could merely be redirecting you so that you can discover alternate outlets for expressive energy. And it's best to let it flow during this time. Think of things or maybe ways that how is it that you will feel unstuck. So there can be some try and discipline yourself that you have to finish a creative endeavor that you've started, a project that you have started. And also try and try meditation, Aquarians, and try and relaxing into the process of that creative endeavor or project in itself. October 29 to December 21st, end of 2022, Jupiter moves back into your house of income, and that's briefly, and then again it will go direct in your house of communication. So end of the month, again we have to focus on self-worth, time to be looking at who you are, what is it that makes you worthy, your own sense of self, and also what is it that you really value greatly. Maybe you're holding on to the financial security so hard that you have let your sense of self completely get eroded. Pluto loves transformation, Aquarius, so don't fear it, but be willing to change, be flexible to change, to transform areas of your life that are just not working for you anymore. And irrespective of how old you are when the transit is happening, for some of us, it could be that you have grown up, married children, and it could be, you may be thinking, oh, I have so much of experience, I've seen so much of life, I don't think I need to be learning anything new. But hey, guess what? Maybe there is still scope for transformation, which allows you to have a more rich and engaged life with not just your family and friends, but also the world at large. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Aquarians. I'll see you again soon.